Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can continue this and any other conversation I ignite on here over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad, on my Vero at Big Mouth 1, and the extension to this channel is my Instagram, Big Mouth. I am really frustrated right now because this morning I recorded an awesome DCEU daily to commemorate the 2-year anniversary of the Frankenstein's monster, which is Justice League, the release of that film. It was about 45 minutes long. I really had my mojo. It was awesome. Unfortunately, I made a big mistake. I had Justice League playing, the actual film playing on my telly behind me. So as it was about to premiere, I got an email telling me that YouTube have actually blocked it for copyright reasons. I'm really devastated. So right now I've had to ring up lots of people to get them to take on my slack of hashtagging release the Snyder Cut, Henry Cavill, Man of Steel, and all of that, because of course it's a really big day. It's been a great week. Hashtagging release the Snyder Cut. We've been trending. We've been breaking records. It's been amazing. But I'm really devastated that video has been blocked. So I'm going to go again and try and make this a special event for the 2-year anniversary of Justice League. It probably won't be as long as that video, but it's the DCEU Daily. We must have a video on this channel every day. I owe that to you, my subscribers, so that's what we're going to do. But if this didn't happen, I couldn't read out Grace Randolph's tweet. Now, Chris Wong Svensson from Ping Pong Flicks actually posted this on his Instagram. Thanks, Chris. This is what she said. Hey, just a heads up. If you support hashtag release the Snyder Cut or even ever thought about supporting it, I'm hearing today is the day you should tweet about it like a lot. Things are happening in Hollywood. Fingers crossed. Don't give up. Very interesting that Grace is coming up with this now. So it looks like word on the street is hashtag do this as much as possible, but something else just happened and on Twitter, and I'm going to basically let you know what this is. This is actually from Tom Hokenborg, Junkie XL. He just posted this. Now, this is what comes up on the screen, and this is what he says. Tomorrow, with 2 eyes on it. Whatever that means, I don't know. This could be the soundtrack of the Snyder Cut of Justice League. This is absolutely sensational. But how did we get here? It's been an amazing journey. It's both been heartbreaking and exciting. We have made new friends. We have fought the good fight for Zack Snyder, for the memory of Autumn, his and Deb's daughter. But predominantly, we have been involved in this because November the 17th, 2017, something so horrible happened. They gave us a Justice League movie that wasn't fit for purpose. That wasn't the quality of that any studio movie should be. And as we went in, after we were buzzing over all the marketing and trailers, we believed that Joss Whedon was just polishing this film off for Zack because Zack had to take time out because of the suicide of his daughter. You know, absolutely justified. No one could come in on Zack for that. You know, who could carry on working after their daughter had ended her life, right? It wouldn't happen. So we thought Joss Whedon, really talented guy, Buffy, Angel, Avengers, Age of Ultron. We thought, wow, this is awesome. He's just going to polish this film up for Zack. But slowly and surely, we found out something else. We found out that he rewrote elements of this film and he reshot elements of this film. Ultimately, he changed the colour palette. That's what these reshoots were, mostly to make this a bright family movie, a Marvelised movie. But unfortunately, he cut somebody else's film to pieces, squeezed in his own bits and pieces, and it was terrible. Fake backgrounds, horrible rush CGI. And the major player, which meant they were never going to get away with this, was the horrible CGI removal they tried on Henry Cavill's facial hair. Now, we all know the story behind this. He went away to do Mission Impossible Fallout with Tom Cruise. They needed him to have facial hair, and they would not allow him to shave because they needed him to return to do reshoots as well. So it was a very difficult situation. Now, any normal CEO of a studio would say, we can't carry on with this plan. We're going to have to put in the scenes that Zack shot with Henry. But no, they didn't want to do that because they wanted a course correction and they were willing to take the risk. The problem that Joss had was he couldn't do proper CGI removal because Sugihara still wanted the original release date for Justice League because everyone wants their bonuses. The idea here was to Marvelise this film and they could bring in an easy $1 billion. It was going to be easy. But they didn't get away with it because we live in a very different era of film where people stand up and analyse and look closely at films. We knew one thing. This was not Zack Snyder's vision and this was not Zack Snyder's film. So many corners have been cut. I'm surprised there was even a film. I said this yesterday. Credit for Joss Whedon that there was any film to go out with the schedule he had to do. But at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough. But I found out the other day when I read a post on Vero from Zack Snyder that whole kind of resurrecting Superman thing when the Flash runs from one end to the other, right, and touches the kind of fluid. That is not Zack Snyder's scene. It looks like Zack Snyder's sequence, but it's actually Joss Whedon's. It actually looks pretty awesome. Like anything bad, there are always good elements to it. You can watch this film and say, Alpha, Vita, Sigma are actually okay, but absolutely not good enough. We were betrayed, Zack was betrayed, and the concept of movie making and storytelling was betrayed. And from that moment on, the release of the Snyder Cut movement gained momentum. We had Zack on Vero posting stuff, teasing stuff. I think SnyderCon was really the moment that this movement gained legs of its own. Because all of a sudden we had Zack Snyder telling the truth, telling us what really happened. And it was compelling. And I've never seen anything like it in the history of this industry. And I've seen a lot. I'm 47 years old. I've seen a lot of bad movies. I've seen creatives removed. But never a situation where an actual director is manipulating and motivating the fandom to fight with him to get his cut released, to get him back running the DCEU. And when I talk about manipulating, I'm not talking about manipulating in a negative sense. He needed to do it. This is a man who wants back in on the DCEU. This is a man who's so desperate for us to see his cut of Justice League. And right now, all of you are tweeting, hashtagging, retweeting. As I say, I've got about 20, 25 people that I know doing it for me as I do this video, because that wasn't the plan. I should be doing that right now. But my subscribers deserve a video, and a video you're going to get. And I'm disappointed because I promised you guys on this day a very special video with some very special events. And that video I did was that. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So if we go back to the histrionics of this whole thing, we had the Ben Fritz hit piece. That nearly destroyed the movement. But somehow, Zack Snyder made sure that that was never going to happen. He kept on teasing us, posting pictures, talking about the Russian family that had nothing to do with him. And even yesterday saying, I don't know what movie you saw, I don't know what you saw, when this fan was speaking about Flash resurrecting Superman. Very interesting. He has been informing us for 2 years. And as I say, this movement has gained momentum. People like Will Rowling, the actor, people like Chris Svensson, Ping Pong Flicks, Dave Pienaar, the screen junkie, the movie junkie. These are ordinary movie fans that have made a name for themselves. But they've done it because they wanted to see this film. They are passionate about Zack Snyder and his vision for the DCEU. Ordinary people gaining momentum, doing this movement because they know what was done was wrong. 2 years is a long time, but I remember going and watching that film and it broke my heart. Very quickly, I could tell that there was fake backgrounds and terrible CGI, and it was really sad because I was, up to that moment, I was always very defensive about anyone who criticised Warner Brothers or their handling of the DC Cinematic Extended Universe. But very quickly, we saw a company and a studio that had no faith in the man that had been put in charge of this. And we know why. Because they didn't put him in charge of this. Christopher Nolan did. And Christopher Nolan protected him during Man of Steel. But it was Batman v Superman where these problems started, where they cut a lot of his movie up and released it in theatres, only for them to be forced to allow Zack Snyder's extended cut to be released. We had the same problem with the Suicide Squad. An extended cut was released. And they put their foot down with Justice League because it was becoming embarrassing. But that is Kevin Sugihara's fault. Messing with Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad. We've never really seen David Ayer's proper vision of Suicide Squad. And David's been talking on Instagram quite a bit in the past few weeks about that. Hopefully, if what's going on, because look what Grace Randolph said, this is massive. And it looks like we're getting the Snyder Cut soundtrack from Junkie XL released maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But it looks like that's what's going on. So very, very exciting. It's a massive time. It's been a massive week. As I say, Hollywood history is in the making right now. Now, there are a few bits of DCEU news that I'm not going to report on this video. Today is about Justice League. And again, I apologise that my original video won't be able to be seen. Now, I'm a bit angry about this because, as I said before, it was on my screen on silent. You could barely see it because my body was like this, even like that sometimes. So I don't think things like that should be copyrighted. I wasn't trying to show the movie or do a watch-along or anything like that. So I think it's a bit out of order. Look how far. It's not like I've got graphics on a screen with the movie on. So very disappointed that you didn't get the event for this very special day that you, my subscribers, deserved. But this is a massive occasion, a massive event. This is going to go on all day, all this tweeting. The target is around 200,000 tweets. I think we're already nearing that. I don't know. There's so many conflicting reports already. I think some people have been tweeting all day because they live in other countries. Mainly it's important what the trends are in America. So I hope internationally we get good trends as well. Because the Snyder Cut trending #1 would be amazing globally as well. It's massive. You need to hold on to your skirts and your trousers, boys and girls. Because when tonight's done, we could finally hear that they're going to release the Snyder Cut. Finally, we could find out what's in that film. The continuation of Superman finally rising. Seeing what's in this film. Going down, as Zack explains it, the never-ending rabbit hole, which could see a Justice League 2. As Grace said, things are changing in Hollywood, but they're not. Things are changing at Warner Brothers. We have a new CEO. We have Walter Hamada running things. Much better people who understand filmmaking and marketing. Part of the problem is that Batman v Superman was badly marketed, dishonestly. If people knew what kind of film it was, then they wouldn't have been disappointed. But they were expecting, because of the marketing, a popcorn chomping flick with Batman and Superman fighting throughout. This was a very, very unique indie type of, multi-layered film. But that's not what the public thought it was going to be because of the marketing. So many things were done wrongly under Kevin Sugihara's reign. But finally tonight, with all the tweets and the retweeting, I mean, it's tonight now, but in America it's day. So you Americans are going to be tweeting for the next 12 hours probably. It's very, very exciting. And you can guarantee one thing. If anything breaks during this day about the Snyder Cut or about the soundtrack, anything, I will be back to break it to you. And remember the pledge that I made to you a long time ago. The theatrical version of my Blu-ray, my 4K, which I've got, will be snapped in front of you. That's how I'm going to celebrate. Go out there, people. Go onto Twitter and make Hollywood history. Show them that this is an industry by the people and for the people. I used to work on a deli counter. I quote tweeted Freddie Prinze Jr. saying to people, don't make people make you hate a movie you love or love a movie that you hate. Mute them. I quote tweeted him and said, Twitter is a reactive platform. I want to see the reactions. I want to have healthy debate with people. Everyone's got the entitled to come from their own point of view. And I gave a comparison about Hollywood. I used to work on a deli counter. We used to sell on that deli counter things people wanted to buy, not things that we wanted to sell. And that's the problem with the movie industry right now. But with the announcement, hopefully, that they're going to release the Snyder Cut, finally, we could see things changing. I hear a lot of Snyder haters and Snyder fandom haters say, these people are mad, they're like a cult. It's just a film. It doesn't mean anything. But art and media, movies, music, painting, all of that, it's not just. It's in our DNA. We've been raised on it. We love it. I see so many fellow Snyder fans and DCEU fans making up their own posters, their own edits of DCEU films. It's more than just a movie franchise. It's more to people. This is people's very lives because movies, media, art and music are a form of escape. There's people out there with one leg, suffering with cancer, been sexually abused or raped. All these people need an escape. And that's what movies do. And this is why so many people are fighting hard for something they believe in. Zack Snyder's vision of his adaptation of these DC Comics characters. The DCEU. Not everybody's cup of tea. But not everything has to make $1 billion. Not everything has to be about business. Warner Brothers have made some things that didn't work out sometimes, that didn't make $1 billion. But they still get other movies. Zack Snyder was betrayed because the media were pressuring the studio. And Kevin Sugihara wanted a ready-made Marvelized franchise without putting in the groundwork. Zack Snyder was putting in the groundwork. These films mean something to so many of us. They are not films. Get out there, people. Let's make this happen. And this is the only place when something breaks, you will find out first. And I will be the only person to stand in front of you and snap that theatrical cut. So be prepared, people. Be vigilant. And hashtag till your fingers haven't got any tips. Release the Snyder Cut.